birthright lost. The empty generation simply signed an X, forever the cost. Inspired by WE's lost generation tale, a gap between eras, our story to hail. Our voice echoes through time, a forgotten chapter, a generational rhyme. Too young for Vietnam, too old for Game Boy, slacker fame. Generation X's precursors we pass on to millennials, a torch without a flame. Birthright lost, torch without a flame.
Was conceived to the cadence, to ask not what our country can do for us. In the background rhythms of Woodstock, we were weaned on the daily hearings of Watergate, raised on policies of currencies that trickled down through Reaganomics. But the trickle didn't go far, and it gave us not a lot. As our parents waiting in long lines to pump recession price gas, as we pedaled around on our Huffies and Schwinn's. Our adolescence taught us contempt for a government, but our education paid for by teasing us with all those many offers of student loans with exorbitant interest added in. Kept us too ignorant to reach past the disillusionment, only to realize we are aging under a system of corruption and greed. Many dying penniless unto our birthright as an empty generation indeed. The boys that returned from the battles of the Great World War, partially due to shell shock or PTSD as it is now known for, were labeled the lost generation, and those of us born after 1965 overlapped us as the very youngest after the baby boomers. The last generation, since the greatest and the silent are no longer alive, but those people were respected, and that's quite the flex. History repeats itself for the very first time, simply to be a historical spot marked X, to be known as Generation X. There's a gap in the generation. I can't claim Woodstock or Vietnam, when I was still merely just a bun in the oven of my dear old mom. But neither did I grow up with the childhood of being a latchkey kid coming home to an empty house all alone, deemed to be empty playing video games after school life before the smartphone. We're an empty generation, born to Woodstock's beat, leaned on Watergate, disillusioned at our feet. Reaganomics shaped our youth, contempt for government became our truth, cause Nixon preempted Captain Kangaroo and wasn't a crook if you can dismiss lies as merely uncouth. Education's irony, ignorance our fate, aging amidst corruption, greed a massive weight, dying penniless, our birthright lost. The empty generation simply signed an X, forever the
Birthright lost. The empty generation simply signed an X, forever the cost. Inspired by WE's lost generation tale, a gap between eras, our story to hail. Our voice echoes through time, a forgotten chapter, a generational rhyme. Too young for Vietnam, too old for Game Boy, slacker fame. Generation X's precursors we pass on to millennials, a torch without a flame.